Welcome, and thank you for attending our session, the Introduction to the Open Content Agricultural Platform, a Digital Public Good, as part of the Mercy Corps AgriFin's 5th Annual Learning Event. My name is Ilyas Nureh. I'm a project management and regional technology expert leading the OCAP project. I'm one of 2 co-moderators for this session. I'm also joined by my colleague, Kristen Peterson.
Thanks, Elias. Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Peterson, and I'm a Tech for Development consultant working with the Mercy Corps AgriFin team. I'm really happy to be speaking with you today as the product lead for OCAP.
Thank you, Kristen. The agenda for today's session is as follows. We'll first kick off the session by providing a brief explanation of what OCAP is and how it works. Then we'll go into a panel discussion with some of our early OCAP MVP partners, concluding with a short breakout session to get feedback and inputs from the session participants about the platform. To begin, allow me to provide some context around the problem that we're trying to address and the role the platform will play in addressing that problem. Many studies have projected that agricultural productivity throughout the continent has not been able to meet growing demands. This could be attributed to a number of different factors, which include environmental shocks, major disruptions, and outdated and traditional farming practices. These have all attributed and undermined farmers' abilities to meet growing agricultural demands. The problem that we are addressing is that the majority of smallholder farmers have little access to updated agricultural information. There's a vast pool of modern agricultural information and content, but it's not easily accessible. Digital platforms can help bring practical agricultural information to smallholder farmers and help them grow more healthy, nutritious, and profitable crops. Based on our recent engagements and experiences that include our recent digital emergency response work on COVID-19, desert locusts, and many other engagements, we've learned that digital platforms have emerged as a scale pathway to reach large number of farmers. As part of the GIZ's Digital Agriculture Africa program and the Smart Development Hack, we were co-awardees along FSPN to develop a farm-to-fork solution enabling and promoting zero contact to prevent the spread of COVID-19 by the use of technology. We propose to design and launch an open content agricultural platform where a wide range of content can be consolidated and shared amongst partners before being distributed to smallholder farmers, where they can use that information to build capacity and become more resilient. We envision the platform to be utilized as an agricultural information exchange or marketplace where content providers can upload and share agricultural information, and content distributors can identify the content that's a good fit for them and distribute the content through their various distribution channels. By providing a centralized open access platform, innovators can use the platform to develop and deliver high quality content at a lower cost that can reach a large number of farmers in a short amount of time. As part of the pilot, we plan to design and develop a minimum viable product and make the OCAP available for our partners to test and leverage with their users. We've also engaged with Calro, who've agreed to administrate and host the OCAP platform as it aligns with their existing mandate to provide research and information across the continent. Let me hand the floor over to Kristen, who will provide you with more information on what the MVP will look like and the various mechanisms of the OCAP. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the OCAP MVP, which will be coming around in the next few weeks. We've been focusing on 3 areas for the OCAP MVP. The first area is, of course, developing the technology and the platform to house and share the content. The second area we've been working on is to work with content providers. high quality, experienced content development organizations that we can work with to access high priority content that we can work with them on to transform into digital ready, farmer friendly content journeys for the MVP. The type of content journeys that we're focused on to develop with these content partners right now are SMS content journeys, as well as WhatsApp for Business, which will be rich media content journeys that will be accessible by farmers on WhatsApp for Business, actually on WhatsApp. We're working to acquire high priority content. The types of content that we will have available for the MVP will include, of course, agriculture content throughout the crop and the production cycles. We also are looking at a number of cross-cutting areas for content. Those include financial services and financial literacy content, new technologies or approaches for climate smart agriculture, COVID awareness content, and much more. The third area that we're working on for the MVP is, of course, content users. We're working with a cohort of Mercy Corps AgriFin partners who are farmer facing and who are interested in learning using the OCAP platform and the content to share with their farmers to build knowledge and resilience. We look at them to come in and test the platform and have their farmers test the content so that we can get feedback to evolve OCAP. So let me talk a little bit more about the platform itself. We've got two components to the platform, but the main component is a searchable database. It's going to be an online database that has all of the content housed and documented for all types of content journeys. For example, a content development partner, a content creator, will use the MVP and be able to upload content in a variety of forms, and will be able to well document it. Everything from who has scientifically reviewed the content, to when it was developed, to what type of channel it's been created for. And also, of course, they will add the type of content sharing agreement that is appropriate for their content. We are also, the database and marketplace will be available for content users or content distribution partners. They'll be able to search the content database for any type of content that they might be interested in. For instance, they can come into the website and type tomato and SMS, and they'll be shown a range of content by different content creators that have that are in an SMS format, and they will be able to look at that content and choose which set of content that they would like to use for their farmers. They will be able to then download the content and, of course, the supporting documentation, and be able to use that content as is, or they can adapt it and contextualize it based on how they communicate with their farmers. So we're also creating a WhatsApp for Business instance to provide a live capability for our content distribution partners to offer content to farmers. This is what we're calling a white label instance. It will be named for OCAP, and our content distribution partners will be able to send their farmers to this WhatsApp for Business line. And when they do that, they will be able to provide, they will do that by providing a URL and to prompt the farmer once they get to the WhatsApp line to type in the area that they want the farmer to join the content journey. For instance, they will give them a URL and say type tomato once you reach the service. And the farmer will then, once they type tomato, be brought into a WhatsApp journey that will take them from potentially pre-planting to location selection, to soil preparation, and on through the content to the crop production cycle. And they will be able to go through that cycle on their own on WhatsApp. Another component, which is centralized and will be on the WhatsApp, the website, will be the ability to understand usage statistics at a high level. We plan to share information on what content is being downloaded. And for example, we can also share what kind of content is of most interest and being used on WhatsApp for Business, so that both content creators and content distribution partners can start to understand what's most important for their various operations. And with that, that's what our plan is for the MVP. But I thought I might share a little bit more about what we plan for the future. So in the very next iteration of OCAP, we also see the need to add, of course, new types of communication channels. The first one that we see in demand based on our discussions with a range of content distribution partners is IVR. But there will be additional types of digital ready formats available as we learn more about the needs of this community. Additionally, what we plan to do, of course, is add a lot of new content. And in fact, content creators will be able to add their own content. So in the further out future, we've seen a lot of requests for much more hyper-local, customized content for partners, and also the need for APIs and value-add partners who can offer additional capabilities for users of the platform, such as SMS capabilities, IVR capabilities. So we'll be adding, we're looking to see what we learn on the MVP and where to take OCAP. But we really are excited to see where it goes, and we're excited to hear from many of you, in fact, all of you, on what you think the future of OCAP should be. So that's my section, and I'm going to hand back over to Elliot in our panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen and Elias, for sharing this background about the OCAP platform. I'm very interested to learn more. My name is Ravi Chatpar, a partner and co-founder at Dahlberg Design, and we've been working closely with Mercy Corps and various partners to support the design and launch of OCAP. It is my great privilege to facilitate a virtual panel with all of you today, and I'm fortunate to be joined by a number of individuals who represent the different types of partners who will be engaged on the OCAP platform. I'm curious to hear what they have to say about OCAP, why it's appealing to them, the role it will play, and their hopes for its future. Let me first introduce our panelists, and then we'll get started. So firstly, Elizabeth Mudogo, the product development lead for M-Agri at Safaricom and Digifarm. Calvins Otieno, managing director of FSPN Africa. Boniface Akuku, the director of ICT at CalRO, the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization. Phil Abrahams, strategic business development director at CABI. And Maida Hernandez, the advisor for Digital Agriculture Africa and coordinator for the Smart Development Fund project at GIS. Thank you to all of you for joining us today, and I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on OCAP.
Food Security for Peace and Nutrition Africa. We are a non-profit that works majorly with youth and women to promote food and nutrition security, basically at the household level.
Oh, hello. It's so great to meet you. Thank you for having me on this panel. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Maida Hernandez, saying hi to you from Berlin. And I am the advisor and coordinator of the GIZ Smart Development Fund projects in Africa. Specifically, speaking of the event that we're at today, I am the advisor for Digital Agriculture Africa, one of the Smart Development Fund projects. And yeah, I'm really happy to meet you all, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this event has in store for us.
Hello everyone, I'm Phil Abrahams, the Strategic Business Development Director for CABI. And for those who don't know us, we're a not-for-profit intergovernmental organization and one of the world's major providers of agricultural content. We put knowledge into use as part of our mission to improve people's livelihoods through the application of scientific expertise. Our flagship program, PlanWise, has supported over 54 million farmers with advice about how to protect hundreds of crops from pests and diseases. And the PlanWise Knowledge Bank is an open access content platform of our own. So today we're really interested in exploring ways of collaborating with OCAP.
My name is Boniface Akuku. I work for the Kenya Agricultural Livestock Research Organization as the Director of ICT. In my career, I've received 2 accolades. In 2016, I was a Climate Presidential winner, and in 2019, I received the Africa CEO Award.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Mudogo. I work for DigiFarm Kenya Limited. I develop propositions that deliver excellent customer experience to our farmers, and I also pick that experience to ensure that we are totally obsessed with the customers.
My first question for our panelists is, how does your organization envision utilizing OCAP? I'm curious to understand, what are the benefits or what type of value do you see emerging from using a platform like OCAP?
Well, I feel like we as Smart Development Fund have our own little story to tell here. So, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the German Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, the BMZ, and the European Commission launched the Smart Development Hack in spring of 2020. This hackathon called for numerous innovative solutions which would help our partner countries overcome the challenges caused by this pandemic. And one of these winning solutions was Digital Agriculture Africa. It's a farm to fork solution which is supposed to help the farmers sell their products completely contactless and corona conform during and, of course, after the pandemic, of course. And as Digital Agriculture Africa is an integral part of the OCAP, we are, of course, happy to help the OCAP grow and prosper. And thinking of other GIZ projects, of course, the GIZ is involved in numerous agriculture projects such as SICE, the Green Innovation Centers, Make IT in Africa. And actually, Make IT in Africa is currently working on 3 new digital innovation hubs, of which at the moment one will be focusing on climate smart agriculture. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to sharing the news of the OCAP with my colleagues so they can integrate it into their work, because we as GIZ will definitely promote the use of the OCAP as we are consumers of the OCAP, of course, and also providers. And we're really happy to integrate it into our GIZ agriculture portfolio.
Saying that Carlo will be able to use OCAP to harvest, curate, and promote its content, which are very vast, to its various stakeholders. And this is because the OCAP platform will enable Carlo to reach a large variety of stakeholders with this content, and plus the content of its partners that Carlo hosts or Carlo are working with.
Over the years, for example, through our PlanWise Plant Health Program, we've built up a really big collection of pest management advice, SMS messages, digital tools that help users do their work more efficiently, and things like soil husbandry communications. It amounts to thousands of SMS messages, farmer fact sheets, pest management decision guides, and so on. But as with any organization, even though the content is freely available, it is only usefully free if you know where to go find it. OCAP, I think, can act as another distribution channel, a new digital library where we can co-house previous and newly developed information for new users to grab and go, users we may not otherwise have reached. At the same time, we can get feedback about how useful our content is, either by OCAP usage analysis or feedback loops they develop involving farmers. And we can be introduced to like-minded partners or stakeholders in the agricultural system wishing to collaborate on customized solutions for the people we're all here to benefit, the women and men wanting to feed themselves, their families, and their communities.
Over the years, access to scientifically proven agricultural content has been one of the major concerns and challenges that we're facing as an organization. That's where now the OCAP platform comes in, and we are so much excited to be working with this, to be part of it at this particular stage. What we envision OCAP is to be a platform where we are able to exchange curated and contextualized agricultural content that is more useful to the target population, who are the farmers. One way in which FSP in Africa is going to benefit from this is it's going to promote digital training other than the physical training, and which has been now with the current condition is being limited with a lot of factors, and also access to scientifically proven content. Previously, what we did before was we took a stepwise approach where we needed to do needs assessment of the field, and then other procedures were including taking them through experts. And this was faced with a lot of challenges, including cost implications and also the limited number of farmers that we could reach.
At how OCAP, the coming of OCAP is going to change how we support our farmers in the years ahead. It's a very exciting journey if you look at it, because for one, we will have consistency of the information that we share with our farmers. We will have a single portal where we have all this information, and the beautiful bit about it, OCAP has partnerships with very many different providers of information, and we can be able to send good value, rich content to our farmers from a day-to-day perspective. We will not have the experiences that we've had before, where we are caught in between. You already have started on a specific value chain. We do not have content to be able to support the extension service for our farmers. Now, with the coming of OCAP, the information is already there. We just need to go in, pick the content that we need, make it in a very simple way to our farmers, and whichever channel that we are using, we have a variety of channels now. We have the SMS capability, we have the USSD *944, we now have the WhatsApp for Business, which is rich in content that is pictorial and also video related. And we also have the DigiFarm app, where we can be able to support our farmers to have an interaction with us on a regular basis. At the back, we have agronomists and we have vets who are able to pick the information at a click of a button and be able to send this information to a variety of farmers. Now, how we look at it, we are looking at scaling up. And the scaling up is only capable if we have a digital a digital capability to be able to reach our farmers in a very simple and fast way. So our partnership with the OCAP will definitely enable us to be able to scale faster and to also be able to scale easily. And even the people at the back who are supporting us can be able to get this content quite easily to be able to support our farmers. The end result, as I had mentioned earlier, is to enable our farmers to have more quality produce, and when they have more quality produce, they fetch a better price, and when they fetch a better price, they are able to make more money and become wealthier, and in that way are able to transform lives.
How did you create, obtain, or share agricultural content before OCAP? What were some of the challenges that you encountered with these approaches that you used previously, and why do you believe that OCAP can help?
So when working through OCAP, we have some feature suggestions that we'll have. Particularly one, we have the audio-visual, which really comes in to capture the target population, which are the youth and women particularly. Considering this digital age, most of them are on this platform, so they'll be able to meet this content at this particular meaning. There's also regional agricultural calendar. This will help mitigate the food wastage, which has been a major concern, and also we're also suggesting high-level filter that will be able to now narrow down to particular information that everyone could be looking for.
We take a collaborative and campaign-based approach to develop farmer-centric materials with many local partners such as Calro. With them, we co-create messages, identifying the priority crops and pests, and customizing messages in English and local languages, depending on whether they're being delivered directly to farmers or via extension agents, and also depending on whichever complementary delivery channels we've jointly chosen, face-to-face, by radio, by SMS, and so on. Each channel facilitates the participation and reach of different groups, youth, women and men, with women, for example, tending to rely more on community-based information sources such as demonstrations or radio listening groups and village video screenings. For farmers' messages, we work with farmers groups to make sure what we say is being properly understood. And we work with women's groups to better understand and take account of the local challenges women face. All this in the context of promoting IPM principles, nationally approved, locally available and appropriate inputs, and a recognition that farmers are not all the same and may not be able to afford the idealized solution, but need something actionable by way of advice, whatever their personal circumstances. So this comes with common challenges such as a time-consuming process of content validation and an expensive content creation process, which has to be nuanced and linking with developing materials in different languages and for different media formats. You cannot write responsible content on the cheap, something many platform hosts fail to grasp. All the above takes time to understand the local landscape, form the trusted partnerships, get good content written, approved, translated and distributed. Having OCAP means there's a value add. We can widen the audience by having additional outlets, potentially allowing us to invest proportionately more in content development compared with in hosting infrastructure.
One other way of how we have been creating and sharing agricultural content before OCAP is, number one, we pick the insights on what is happening on the ground, and we work with the partners that we have engaged so far to be able to create valid content to our farmers, touching on various value chains. And that's where the problem comes. We are only able to work with one value chain or two or three after a specific period of time. Half of the time we used to be caught up because most of the farmers in Kenya depend on the rain. So at times the time is really not on our side, especially when you want new fresh data. It's really not on our side. And the other way that we have been collecting the information or being able to share the information to our farmers, we have added a lot of value to our farmers by also giving them trainings. For example, the loan training, the insurance training, to enable them to have more knowledge as we get into this activity of agriculture.
In the past, we have developed different standalone platforms for content management. However, this approach has faced a number of challenges, notably the information overload. In this case, where you find that the content users are thrown into a web of information and they're not able to quite clearly access what they need with reasonable time. Now, having an integrated platform like OCAP is the way to go. And this is because OCAP is geared, has been designed to have very good features, particularly dynamic content management, inbuilt transcription, and ability to provide a variety of content in different formats. And this is something I would like to go in as a good standard and or a good feature that OCAP should be able to include.
So firstly, coming from the Smart Development Fund point of view, I would definitely like to point out that this is something I'm sure we've all observed, that one good thing that has come out of this pandemic is that it has accelerate digitalization at a very unprecedented level and making platforms an integral part of our day-to-day lives. Platforms are actually helping us get used to this new normality that we're living in at the moment. And I'm sure that even after the pandemic or corona times, the OCAP will definitely be a key enabler in digital trade and information in the agriculture sector in Africa, and that this open access platform is a great mode of communicating and sharing knowledge, best practices, and content throughout the agriculture sector. Thinking of the GIZ as well, prior to the OCAP, the GIZ had no comprehensive platform for distributing agricultural knowledge beyond, of course, the project scope. Thus, this limited the potential of the impact. And we've of course had and shared the agricultural content, for instance, through extension services with our local partners, but it has not been in this digital format that we have right here, which is easy to access for any third party. And I definitely believe that that is a USP of the OCAP.
I know that there are other agricultural platforms out there already. What do you feel is different about OCAP for you or your organization? How will it actually change what you do or how you support farmers in the years ahead?
Let's be realistic. OCAP is still a concept. It hasn't been tested, and it's hard at the moment to compare it with already existing platforms. But I think OCAP gives an attractive opportunity in its specialization to cater for farmer groups as an audience. It could also offer a unique opportunity in the automation of manual processes that allow for efficiencies for content makers, fast-track harmonization and the quality provision of agricultural information and media formats, and to do this across a whole range of crops, not just confined to the higher profile ones like maize or beans, cassava or tomato. OCAP is also uniquely positioned to meet a need to access digitally ready, farmer-friendly information in SMS format that is easily downloaded and used with little to no modification. There remains a gap in finding comprehensive content covering complete value chains in simple, mobile text-based versions. OCAP potentially will enable onward content partners constrained by their own time or human resources to access quality information sourced from cohorts of content creators, hopefully including CABI, which they can incorporate into their own innovative farmer-facing business solutions. It allows them to get on with service innovation and not having to scrabble around for and negotiate with content suppliers who they've never heard of, and who could be supplying them with potentially harmful or inappropriate material. That at least is what I hope to see from OCAP, and if it can deliver, then certainly it will be compelling for us to be part of your journey, and we really wish OCAP well for that reason.
The support that OCAP is likely to provide is to minimize information overload by enabling farmers to access content easily, timely, and in simplified and transcribed versions, as something which I think is novel and unique. And what is compelling is the use of OCAP is the use of open standard and the provision of targeted content which are specific and personally relevant to the different stakeholders, which meets the needs of the stakeholders.
We are also looking at what I see changing in the near future, even for us, considering our current status and the future. We see a continuous support system that will be able to working with the people who are able to disseminate the information and creating of the content. And this will now bring specialization and a collaborative approach that is very useful in this particular sector, if at all we are to get a huge success. One compelling thing that I'll say is OCAP really aligns its objective with our particular objective of the organization as FSPN, and that's why I'm really excited to engage in this with all of us in this venture. I'm Calvin Sutino, I'm the Managing Director of FSPN Africa. Thank you.
There are other platforms out here that are providing a similar service in terms of providing content that goes to provide for the farmers. Yes, there are. But some of the challenges that you see with these platforms that are there, number one, they do not have current information. It's not current information, and in some instances, it's not localized information to fit the specific area that we are dealing with, specifically if we are to talk about the Kenyan content. And for some of them, the content, it cannot be simplified to meet the requirement of that smallholder farmer whom you're trying to uplift their life standards. The other platforms that are here are too costly for the farmers to be able to pick as much content. Now, our smallholder farmers have very limited access to credit and limited access to content, and farmers so very limited access to physical extension officers. So cost is a very important aspect to them as we are able to provide this content and extension service to these farmers. Where I see OCAP coming in terms of providing reasonable data, and at a reasonable, it's actually free of charge to our farmers. It will give them a better reach. They'll be able to access this information more easily, and they can be able to access it at will at any one time. And it's rich content that is able to, help them, to support them every day, to be able to provide quality produce that can get a better price and be able to, improve on their well-being. Thank you.
Of course, there's a lot of platforms out there, but I really believe that the OCAP is already in itself a unique innovation in the way it's set up as an agriculture platform. And thinking of Calro as the operator of the OCAP, I think that this is a great way of ensuring that the quality and public benefit objective are kept in line with the content and technical infrastructure. And another great benefit I see here, aside from that, is that the OCAP, of course, is just a low cost informational solution for, again, the content providers such as Calro or distributors such as FSPN Africa.
Firstly, a big thank you to our 5 panelists, Liz, Calvince, Boniface, Phil, Maida, for sharing your reflections. We've just heard many interesting perspectives on OCAP. I'd like to summarize a few of these points that really stood out to me before we spend some time breaking up into groups to discuss further. Firstly, there's a real need for more content. This is something that came through loud and clear. And when I say more content, I mean more in every way. More topics covering more value chains, content that is more relevant across regions, more content that is digitally ready, more content that is scientifically valid, and more content that is free or as inexpensive as possible. The open partnership model that underlies OCAP has a real opportunity to do this, and that's quite exciting. The second thing that I heard is that it's quite important for many of you to find more effective ways to get good quality content to farmers. But this is something that many organizations already do, many of you in the audience as well. You do this very well today in your own ways, through your products and services, through extension services, through training, through other tools, through other programs, and many other things. But we recognize you are all resource constrained, we all are resource constrained, and we need to focus on other parts of our business, other parts of your delivery model. So getting you more and better content in digital ready formats can allow you to focus on what you do best, the core parts of your business. The third point that I thought was interesting really relates to the multi-partner ecosystem that OCAP is trying to bring together. We know that there's a number of partners who are already part of the platform, and this will grow over time. And this creates some really interesting opportunities. There's a way for partners to learn from one another, to collaborate together, to fill gaps in our knowledge, to fill gaps in the content base out there in the world, and to strengthen existing content, right? By adding nuance to it, adding detail to it, translating into additional languages or more digital ready formats. And also this potentially allows for new opportunities with other types of platforms and initiatives further down the road. All of this can really strengthen partners' own content development processes, which ultimately benefits farmers. I'd say the fourth and final point that I think is worth reflecting on is that despite all of this, despite this potential for OCAP that is very compelling, we have to be realistic as well. Like OCAP is a concept at the moment that is soon going to launch in MVP form. And like any new product, there will be learnings, there will be growing pains, but we're quite encouraged by the interest and engagement so far. There are many ways that this platform can evolve, not just in the ecosystem of content creation and distribution partners, but more importantly with farmers, particularly those who become more exposed to OCAP's content and offerings over time. But we're going to have to take this step by step and share what we learn and adapt as we go along. I think speaking on behalf of all of the partners, I'd say we're very much looking forward to this journey, going on this journey together with you. Thank you for your time. And with that, we will now move to further discussion and reflection about OCAP in groups.
The time actually really flew by. There were a lot of really good insights that had been generated and discussed. Again, welcome back, and really thank you for your participation, your insights from the breakout session. There were, I really feel bad. We were really scratching the surface with a lot of good information that had been generated from our discussions, ranging from, potential data sharing concerns with regards to new distribution channels or potential content streams. And then again, with regards to how to potentially use this OCAP moving forward. But I really do want to thank everyone for your insights. I'd also like to thank our panelists for participating in a very thoughtful discussion and sharing their insights with regards to how these distinct set of partners plan on leveraging the OCAP as part of the MVP. Also, before concluding, I'd also like to acknowledge the three recipients of the Innovations in Public-Private Partnerships Benefiting Smallholder Farmers Award. First to CalRO for their efforts building partnerships with private sector ag organizations, the World Bank, and county governments to drive data sharing and good agronomic practice information. The second to MEDI and Plant Village, building off their desert locust response work to expanding their efforts to provide weather, pest, disease, and climate change advisories to hundreds of thousands of farmers in Kenya and Uganda. And lastly, to the Ethiopian ATA, Turn.io, Mercy Corps Ethiopia, who've partnered and launched a WhatsApp for Business Desert Locust hotline in 5 languages as part of the Desert Locust emergency response efforts to disseminate advisories and track the movements of this invasive pest. Again, congratulations to all. Thank you again for joining and participating in the introduction to OCAP session. And please tune in for the next session on digital emergency response works. Thank you.